Hey, this is so exciting. I'm here with Willow, so we may get some panting and a knock of the tripod if she comes into this little corner of the office. I am so excited to share this with you. I kind of took a break from social media over the weekend. I just posted a few times in my stories, and my intention was to really, as Jordan B. Peterson would say, clean up my room. So I worked on the things that are in my environment that I wanted to clean up to make space for what is coming. And so actually it was a big endeavor on one day in the kitchen, the next day my bedroom, and then on Monday, yesterday, I rested a lot and just really opened myself up to how do we ground this energy that we got activated with in the last couple of weeks. So if this is your first time meeting me, hello, my name is Lauren. I've been in fitness for 21 years, and I incorporate energetics into the strategy of diet, exercise, and self-care. Now, who I am on the energetic side, I am aligned with the crystal star guardian. So we are in the time of ascension. You can look it up on the internet, and we have these 26,000, rough estimate, 26,000 year intervals where we get organized frequencies coming from the cosmos every 2,000 years, every 5,000 years. But a full ascension cycle is a 26,000 year period where our solar system is moving around the galactic center, among other things. So to be alive right now at this time is so extraordinary. And basically what happens is this. I'm going to explain how the ascension process works on the universal level through our body. So when we want to change something in our body and we just can't make it through doing the necessary habits to make that health change or the aesthetic change. We just keep meeting resistance and we know what we're supposed to do, but we can't bring ourselves to do it. Well, the reason why we can't bring ourselves to do it is because there's actually a whole energetic grid system that is preventing you from moving out of it. So it's kind of like this energetic net. And no matter how much you think you want to have this dream health or this dream body, no matter how much you think it, no matter how much you visualize it, no matter how many times you do gratitude work or journal work, you just can't bring yourself to do it. It's because on an energetic level, your physical body or your energetic bodies, because your physical body is also energetic, is stuck inside of a net. And I want to explain something to you of how frequencies act as a net on the anti-material universe side, the antimatter, the anti-particle, the stuff that we can't touch. Every thought and feeling is an intersection. It actually creates a connection. And so we have this kind of net system of thoughts and feelings that are the infrastructure for what actually manifests. So on the invisible side, it's geometry and it's intersections of thoughts and feelings. That is what the material experience forms around. So what's happening in the ascension cycle is that all of the thoughts and feelings that were our prior structures of the world order system are being dismantled, cut through, penetrated by frequencies that are not chaotic, that are organized from other star systems. So you can look all of this up, okay? This is fact that we have these energetic pulses in intervals throughout time. So in an ascension cycle, it's kind of like the world structure, the world experience for this planet is done. As the earth as a sentient being and as the experience on this plane, we've already kind of mastered this thing about conquering, about division, about separation. It's done. And so what's happening is with the energetics that we're getting from other systems, with light workers such as myself, with the sentient beings that we are part of, everything is doing its part to create a more balanced, unified field on this earth plane. So let me share with you, exactly what that means, because I am like unloading really high level stuff about energetics and about how it works on the other side and how things come to manifest. So don't worry if this is like going through your head. The transmission alone of watching this and feeling my energy is going to be enough to start the process for you to where, and then whatever inner work that you do after, it's going to give you some energetics for that. Okay, so don't worry if it doesn't all land. Hey, Nuna. So Nunana, I think I'm saying it right. So what happens is we've experienced the game of separation. And so every system that is on this planet that's about separation and conquest starts with the removal of feminine energy. So what I want you to do for right now to think about this in the concept is that any structure that removes the feminine reception power is a world system that was created to keep humans separate from God. So I always go back to religion, because if we look at the religious systems that we had in these last 26,000 years, it was all about removing the female deity. And it was about defiling, is that the right word? Defiling the female existence. We see this. I don't really have to explain it. So the world structures that we're moving out of in this 26,000 ascension cycle, hey Chelsea, is that we're actually getting back into a balance with the female deity of God. And so what happened recently is so people who are doing light work and energetics, and we as the humans, we actually have the templates back, right? That grid system I was talking about earlier, we actually have the templates back pre-fall. So we know the story of the fall. We know the story of fallen angels, but what we were gaslighted in the patriarchal religions is that it's the story of us. We are actually the fallen angelics. We're the fallen angels. So everything that's in the patriarchal religions is not so much about a demon and an angel or about us and God. It's really all about us. And so what I want to share with you is that with the templates that we got back, it's almost as if that time of the fall didn't even happen. And we also got back the template for herogamic union. And herogamic union is the perfect unification, sacred marriage between the physical feminine body and the masculine light body. And so if you're kind of like, okay, like how does this work? How does this work? It doesn't even make sense. The separation was us being separate from the Godhead, and it was the separation of being connected with all of our star homes. So our genetics, our higher awarenesses are not just human. They are gradients and levels of our intelligence, of our soul. So the separation was separating us from knowing that there's a female Godhead, a male Godhead, and we are the divine child. We are not lowly sinners. That's a gaslighting tactic. It was separation from our soul because our bodies have different functions and body parts on the different levels of the light bodies. So we were separated from something that's called the nadial complex, that is in the first dimension, that also has to do with our root chakra. And it's this system that is internal on the light body energetic side that actually allows our high consciousness, so our soul, our divinity, to descend into this physical body. So baptisms of a dove coming down, that's actually about our higher mind being within us. And it comes through a point between the heart chakra and the solar plexus. That was cut off. So this game, or this illusion of separation of our feminine body with our masculine light body, separation of the female and male Godhead, separation from the earth plane to all of the cosmos, separation of our human intelligence, which is just this 5 to 7%, and our subconscious and unconscious intelligence, which is the 95 to 97. The game of separation is over. The frequencies that we're getting is to unify us back into the whole system. So what does that mean for us? That means for us, when we look out in the 3D, when we look out on the earth plane of what's going on, it's very, very simple. All you have to do is look at structures that cause separation, that cause fear. Because if we tune in, or like when we tune in to the frequencies, so the thoughts and feelings, the words and actions of the world structures that evoke a sense of fear, that are putting on totalitarianism, that are putting on control, what those are, that's like the reptilian brain separation consciousness system. That's the system that we have grown up with in our inner child of how do we figure out how to stay alive. So when we're looking out at the 3D and things get really heightened and really bizarre and very much like V for Vendetta and Hail Hydra from, the Marvel movies, if you look at a world leader who just presented a very dark in the visual, very gaslighting in the words, and very fear-mongering in what was said, that's actually a good sign. Because the more the contrast happens and the more the need for control and the more need for fear that we see in the 3D, the more we can understand what's actually falling apart and coming together on the anti-material side. So what does this mean for us in the body? How do we actually use these current energetics? Well, we have to take a look at our body, what's falling apart, what's not working, what our new desires are. We have to look at our relationships, what's falling apart, what's not working, what we desire. Our career, our living environment, Because everything that we have around us is old manifestation. It's old energetics. And so when we get the new energies on a big macro global level, it impacts us out of our control. And the thing that we want to do is look for more control because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to come together after a certain thing falls apart. This is part of the reason why dieting is very disruptive to the body, because your body's having to figure out a new way of being if it doesn't have the 10, 15, 20, 30 pounds on it. Your body, your brain is going to have to figure out new operating systems to sustain new habits so that you have room to think about all the other important things. This is all like machinery that we're dealing with. We have the human feeling experience and we have the emotions, but we're dealing with machinery. Our body is a machine propelled by energy. So it requires energy and our conscious awareness that requires even more energy to make these changes for our body. So if it requires all this energy and all of this focus to make these changes for the body, what happens when the changes are happening not because of our energy, because of what's happening on the universal level? We have to let it break us. We have to let whatever that is happening out there in the world structures that are shifting, because they're supposed to shift, we have to look at that stuff and allow it to make us feel a certain way. If we're scared, if we want to hunker down, if we want to be a hermit, if we want to like live it up to the fullest, we have to look at what those frequencies being transmitted to us in fear are doing to us. Because that's the representation of the old duality system of separation. So if we let it make us feel where we have been separated from God the Mother, where God the Father and God the Mother have been separated, where we have been separated in our awareness that we're divine, we're not lowly sinners, where we have been separated between our physical body and our light body. Those things that are happening, that are activating emotions in you, are activating the deep-rooted, on an atomic, pre-manifested level, the fears of separation. Because eventually what happens when we live in the fear of separation from God the Mother, God the Father, from us being divinity, from our masculine light body, when we compound that energy and that perspective that we live in a separate system than God, then we get really afraid of dying. Because then the next separation is separating from our body, and we're so terrified of what's on the other side. And Yeshua and other guardians that were coming here and teaching this were teaching that this is like just a soul suit. This is just the thing that's the record holder on your genetic DNA. This is just the thing that transmits the energy in the 3D plane. When your soul has had its full experience of being on a planet that has masculine and feminine polarities, that has interactions with the self and the soul, that has interactions with the self and humanity, that has interactions between humanity and the world order of separation, when that's done, you just leave the soul suit and you are your consciousness that's here is now fully united with the light energetics, the light body, the non-physical existence of you. This whole game is about separation. So whatever is happening for you in your life, whatever new desires are coming up, whatever you're feeling like, I am so done with this, and this, it's probably because of the energetics that we're getting. Because what's happening is, as we're on this ascension process is reconnection. And it's reconnection for everyone. Every single person is going to get activations. It's whether or not the person is aware of it, going with the flow. So a person can go with the flow of the energetics and not be aware of what's happening. They're just in tune and in their heart center, and they're just like, okay, well, like now I'm doing this. For me, the first activation that I got in 2020 was pretty rip-roaring on my body. That's when the digestion stopped working and I switched to the hepatonia of Korean acupuncture. The shifts that were happening in my body made me sick. So it's like these energies that are coming in are like pulling up all this stuff. It's like you're snaking a sink that's clogged with hair and hair products. It doesn't feel good in the process because these energetics that are of the old system are like having to be flushed out. And energy is experienced through thought and feeling. So when the energies are moving, we're going to experience thoughts and feelings that have been stored in us for a long time. And what may happen, depending on how many times your soul, your spirit has been recycled on this plane, because if we're separate, if the game is separate from everything, we've been stuck here. We've been intercepted through how we were able to return to our star systems when this adventure of being human was over. But we're getting those back. But whenever there was a time where you couldn't come into this planet and you couldn't get out, we're in a time where we're actually going to be able to exit this system. So the relevance of that and why I'm sharing this with you is because we live in a world system. So when you're having these thoughts and feelings come up that have this like texture and sensation, that it's a deeper level. It's a deeper level than anything that you could have experienced when someone harmed you. It's a deeper level than any memory. Like you'll have memories that come up that you're like, it's an image. It'll be an image in your mind to reflect the thought and the feeling. And that image could be like, I don't want to say, I keep spitting my grits even though I rinse my mouth. I don't want to say what it could be because I don't want to say anything to you that if it happens, you're like, well, maybe she gave me the idea that that's what it is. But you could have images come up in your head that feel like you, but it's not you in the image. It's something else. It's a different part of you. And so this is really deep work. And so when we do this really deep work on this atomic level, the 1D body, the light body level, we start to unify. We start to create the herogamic union between our feminine body, because the feminine Godhead is like everything that's manifested. The masculine Godhead is everything that is yet. It's the idea. It's the light. The feminine is the balance. I don't want to say darkness because she's not dark, but it's like this contrasting system so that things can be made. Because you can't bake a cake with one ingredient. Right? So you can't have an experience without positive and negative. You can't have experience but without masculine and feminine. So whatever is coming up for you, let it come up. Because those things that are coming up, especially if you've had issues with your body in your health or your aesthetic, that it's like no matter what you do, the results don't come or you don't stick with them, there's probably a deeper level that's happening. And there's probably like really a deeper level if you're actually in a relationship with me, because we can't have a relationship if we're not in resonance with each other. So there really might be some really deep stuff that's going to come up for you as you go through a process when you are on your diet and your exercise path, even if it's for the millionth time. So this herogamic union between the masculine light body and the feminine physical body, when that keeps fusing together, you keep clearing out stuff little by little. You have ahas throughout the day. You start to actually be able to perceive yourself in the perception of gratitude and appreciation. Not gratitude, appreciation. We appreciate ourselves. And part of the game of separation was to depreciate the human experience. That's why we were called lowly sinners. We are not. We are like God's most magnificent creation because we were endowed with God the Father in our brain, God the Mother in our heart, and we are God the Child in our physical existence on this plane. So it's like the separation, the consciousness of separation and the perception of separation causes us to not see who we are, because we're so focused and we're so much in the thoughts and the feelings and the physical state of the things that made us feel unworthy. So whatever happened in those ages of 0 to 7, where we had the theta brainwaves of download only, so that this body could become the resource center of how to do life, it's those things that we are living in that we can't actually appreciate everything that we are and who we've become despite that shit that happened. Not because of it, despite it. And this is probably a way of thinking about it that you haven't heard, because I don't feel grateful for the way people treated me. I appreciate who I am, even though those things happened. I don't wish the people ill, but I'm like, I'm not grateful for you. Because really what it is to me is that who I am on my soul level, what my experiences were that deterred me from appreciating myself, were just the 3D mirror to where my soul was always destined to go. So now it's like this thing that I had with my upbringing with my dad, the thing that I had with my upbringing with my Nana, I learned the polarizing ends of having avoidant behavior with my self-care and relationships, and anxious behavior with my self-care and my relationships. And look at what I'm teaching. So appreciating happens when we have this fusion. Because the more we get to know the soul level, the more we understand the mechanics that everything that is in our field, everything that is on our human experience, is a mirror to what the energetics are that are emanating off of our body. Whatever our gifts are, people, places, and experiences were the thing to mirror what is. But we don't look at it like that because we can't feel what is us. All we feel is the 0 to 7 program of human conditioning. That's the separation. We lost that we are united with our masculine energetic bodies. We are united with God the Father and God the Mother. We have our transmission portal of the Christ center point between our heart chakra and our solar plexus that allows the spirit to descend into this physical body. We lost all of that. So how can we appreciate if we're just living in the separation and the bad, shitty things that happened to us, and then the perception that we made about ourselves because of those bad things? So you start grounding this energy by looking for anything that you can appreciate about yourself. And you have to be strong enough when you go into battle to change your diet, your exercise, and your self-care. If you're more avoidant, you got to discipline your mind and do the damn thing. If you're anxious, you got to slow down your mind and do less and care for yourself more. You have to create the balance of doing the opposite of what you always have been doing. And if you don't really relate to avoidant or anxious behavior, it's the knowing that when you don't have stimulus, when you don't have distraction, you are left with the program. So if you do great with your eating during the day when you've got things to do and people to focus on and tasks and stuff, you cannot live in the program because you have to be conscious in your 3 to 5% to focus on whatever you're doing. When you have nothing to focus on, it's like the 3 to 5% is hands off the wheel, sitting in a parking lot waiting for somebody, and you're like, do. Oh yeah, I feel like shit. And then we go and do the pattern that temporarily makes us feel better, but then inevitably makes us feel worse. So it's like we try to like go get the satiating feeling. We try to go get serotonin and dopamine to make us feel better. And then we sink deeper into feeling bad. And that feeling bad is the re-victimization of remembering the thing that happened to you. So we're unconsciously re-victimizing ourselves because we're not understanding how the energy works. It's not you, it's the energy. And this is stuff that like we should know. This is stuff that we knew before the fall. So these energetic frequencies that are coming in are allowing this perception to come back into your awareness. I'm glad that landed for you. So finding something to appreciate about yourself, understanding that this is all machinery run by energy, but the human feeling experience makes us feel funny about it. Noticing when we don't have something consciously to focus on, we slip into the program. Noticing that our little body, our little human that's in the program, that's running this operating system right now, is going to make you reach for the thing to make you feel better. So at one time for me, it was food. Then when the food issues got no more emotional eating, then it moved into exercise. I'm anxious, I got to go exercise. I'm anxious, I'm not feeling good enough with my clients. I have to be stronger, better than all of my clients no matter what. Doing stuff to my body that really wasn't appropriate for it because I was trying to be the best. So I've had to learn how to rest. That was the big thing for me. And sitting with myself in that boredom state of like, I just have to deal with how I feel. Why do I feel anxious right now? I really want to just like go distract myself and like break a sweat. But why do I feel anxious? Because I'm noticing everything that I'm not. Why am I noticing everything that I am not? Because I still have energetics from separation consciousness. And the moment I was able to actually appreciate being alive, this is how deep it was for me. Because I have fantasized about killing myself up until 2018. I stopped having those fantasies in 2018. So from that long, all of this work that I've been doing, it finally landed. I was laying on a raft and I was like, oh, I feel so grateful right now. I was like, why do I feel grateful? Like I'm at my neighbor's house, dog sitting, I'm on a raft, nothing has changed. I don't have my house, I don't have a relationship. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't have a lot of things that I wanted to have at this time in my life. So I was like, why do I feel grateful? I was like, oh, I feel grateful for being alive. Because I really feel like I got to like, all right, I'm alive from 2018 on. But now I feel grateful. And that grateful to be alive and to have the experience, even though it was extremely painful and it took a really long time for me to get over my childhood stuff. Now all of a sudden, it was like clicking into place, all these things about myself that I could appreciate. And when you have that appreciation, you have this like united front that you almost can't, I keep spitting, you almost can't act out of alignment. Because to act out of alignment with your masculine energetic body, with your connection to God the Father and God the Mother, it's too painful to act out of alignment. You understand how the energy works. It pulls you apart. On an atomic, one first dimension level, it pulls you apart. Because the whole idea and the parables that Yeshua was teaching before they named him Jesus and before they took the real meaty energetic parables that he was teaching, he's actually teaching how you atomically create. Because a proton on the subatomic level is a positive charge relating to the masculine energy. An electron on the subatomic level is negative and associated with feminine energy. A neutron is a neutral placeholder. We are the neutron. It is our conscious thought that dictates on an atomic level how the molecules, how the atoms are forming. So when we have these energetic shifts, our body goes through an atomic change. But we just think that it's stress because of what's happening, and sure, that's part of it. But this is the struggle that we're up against when we're trying to change our body from diet and exercise alone. We are changing it on an atomic level, but that discomfort and that, oh shit, we're disassembling, how do we reassemble ourselves, is a lot. So the diet and the exercise and the self-care have to be matched with how we're thinking, how we're feeling, and what we're doing to recover. And we have to take in consideration that we are, legitimately in a 26,000 year cycle where the energy is changing, so the world structures have to change. And change is hard. So the world structures that have been running the show and keeping control and disempowering their people, they're all doing everything they can to collect as many people as they can, because when more people keep turning on and activating, when we feel the activation, we feel that connection, and we feel connected to the universe, to God, to ourselves, you can't act out of alignment. It's almost impossible. Once you feel what it is to be home in your body, it's really hard to make decisions that are out of that alignment because you know the ramifications. For me, I know it's physical pain. I know it's inflammation. I know it's a migraine. So really look at all of this stuff that's happening. Really look at your life. Really let all of this sink in. That's gross. And allow yourself to ask bigger questions. What can I activate? What needs to be integrated? Where can I grow from here? And then slowly, these solutions are going to keep dropping in, dropping in, dropping in. And when you get a solution drop in, you act on it. You compound that energy with your body to now be in that new mental emotional state. You work that mental emotional state with your habits for a while. You ask for another upgrade. You ask for another activation. You ask for what else can be cleared. It'll happen. It will happen. This is your process. So I think of it as we're going up Jacob's ladder. But Jacob's ladder is really your DNA. That's the symbology of Jacob's ladder. You're ascending through the field. Okay? So that is your transmission. We are going to be bringing this down to some more practical steps in end game, because this is the end game. We're in it. We did it. Humanity did it. The universe did it. We're in the end game. So if you want to have more, if you want to have support on this process, you'll want to do end game, which starts today. It's very